Hello. Yeah, Sterling Campbell. Yeah, first comment. Awesome. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Thank you for coming to the Explain It podcast. We are waiting for our guest of honor, Kevin Choe, who will be here to talk to you about how you can get your first creative finance deal. And it's not a gimmick. He's literally converting this type of list pulling into a legit business. So if you've struggled in getting your first deal, if you don't know what to focus on right now and you just know you want your first creative, this podcast live is the one to watch. As you all know, my name is Ingryd Hernandez. I am the co-host of Explain It with Caroline Cain. Unfortunately, she is under the weather. The norovirus has gotten a few folks, and herself included. But if you're here, we ask you to please consider interacting with each other in the comments and ask all the questions you want. A part of this podcast is to deliver as much value as we possibly can so that we can help you with your business, with your understanding of real estate, other business things. We're even thinking about going on tour and just eating at different places as soon as I finish up the other part of 75 Hard. We'll see. I'm a big carnivore right now. So anyways, thanks for joining, Dana, and anybody else. I'd love to have you. I may pop on my little Instagram just to remind people to come to the podcast. And there we have Kevin, who we love. He's a part of SubTo. He is a younger version that I'm sure a good chunk of us wish we were at some point, seeing that he's moving and shaking and doing things which are so awesome. I'm like his mama in my head, where I'm so proud of this kid because he's so much younger than me. So he's like, that's how I feel. Mama bear for sure. Okay, so let's bring you up here. Kevin, how are you?
Sup, mama?
Oh my gosh. So I've just seen such a huge transformation in all you've done and all you do. I'm so proud of you, especially since what you're focusing on right now is really feasible and doable by anybody who actually wants to go and take action. Would you say?
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally all I do. I don't go after any other list. It's a small list of probably 200, 300 people, and I just go after the same thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you're doing it niche. I know you're doing it with Chris, who unfortunately is on his way to the airport, I believe. So he wasn't able to join us after all. I
Oh,
quickly talked to him. Did he not give you the 411?
I thought he was leaving like late at night. That's what he told me last time.
Oh, okay.
I knew he was leaving today, but I thought his flight was like at 10 p.m.
Do the kids still say 411? That's what we used to say when I was younger. No.
Well,
So, just a little bit of schooling. Back in the day, when you hit your dial-up phone and you say 411, it was like what was happening, like your the information of what was happening.
I
That's what
know 410. I know 410.
there's 911, there's 411.
Oh,
Oh my god, yeah. I'm aging myself for sure. Right? Sterling, you know what's up. 411 is cool. So, just for everybody on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, come over to YouTube and come check out Kevin Choe, who's amazing and is going to give you the insights you need to actually, what would you say, Kevin? If somebody who did this, they could get a deal in the next week, right?
oh yeah, yeah. Next week.
100%. So whatever market you're in, Kevin is going to give you the legit tactics of what to do in order for you to go and get your, no better explaining, go get your first deal if you haven't gotten it. So come and join us on YouTube, Ingryd Hernandez, and watch Kevin scratch his back, um, and give you how to actually get your first deal done. All right. See you guys over at YouTube. So let me know, Kevin, what would you advise as being one of the first things you do in order to get this or actually let's hear about you a little bit. Like, who
Right.
are you, Kevin? You're you young kid who getting deals done and uh,
Yeah. My name is Kevin Choe. I'm hitting almost 3 years anniversary in real estate. I've been in the SubTo mentorship almost 2 year and 4 months now. And I started off with just kind of doing the cash traditional side. And,
mhm,
I, for almost just about a year ago when I did my very first subject to deal. It was a foreclosure lead. And because up until this point, only thing I really focused on was just a cash deal, and it worked so good. Like cash, it only made sense to do cash deals because even if the homeowner had no equity, you just
mhm.
sit on the house for like a month and a half, and the house is growing already.
Yeah,
So
because that's sort of the market we were in.
right, right, right. So um, and I never really felt like there was need for me to go after any of the uh, no equity stuff because all the houses had equity up
Right.
until last August when I came across a lead in Yuma where the homeowner had just bought the house using his VA loan, and then 3 months later he's getting transferred and he's going through a divorce, and he had a hard time selling the house, not because the house needed a lot of work. It was a very nice house. Matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, it was a substitution that flipped the house and sold it on the market, and then the house, this veteran bought the house back in May, and come March, they're going through divorce. Now they can't sell the house because they owe too much. So I said, there's got to be a handful of people that's kind of going through the same thing. Like divorces happen all the time. People get stationed all the time. Family gets sick,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the situation is, where they life happens where they have to move. But when they bought the house, only 3 months ago, you're out of pocket after commissions and closing costs. So I went on prop stream, and I looked at and I put and I made this filter out of the story, right? So I created a story. There was a story that allowed me to get this SubTo deal, and I made a filter around that story. And I can and here in Maricopa County, there was about 170 to 200 homes in the exact same situation. Homeowner bought the house, VA, FHA. Within a year, they're selling it for whatever reason. And I pulled a list, and on the fourth house, and it was a second call because the first two didn't pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a SubTo deal out of it, which is the house that Chris was staying at. It was a Mesa SubTo deal, bought with the down payment assistance. Homeowner had a job offer uh, in Seattle where he moved here very temporarily, and now he had to move back, and he had a hard time selling the house. And matter of fact, that listing agent today, his name is Robbie. He
Mm-hmm.
actually sent me a message today saying, "Hey, do you do any deals in 55 plus community? I have another SubTo deal." Like this legitimately happened today. And so the no equity SubTo deals, it just kind of came about from out of that whole situation where I just got a free SubTo in Yuma because the homeowner got zero out of that deal because they had no equity, and I just paid a wholesaler $5,000 and I bought the house subject to, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's a rental property.
Okay,
So
so let's back up a little. I
yeah,
love it, Kevin. Every time I hear you tell this story, you're getting better and better every time. So I love it. So the more we tell our stories, the better we get at it, which is great. Again, I'm Mama Bear with Kevin. So
yeah,
proud of this kid. So I love it. Kirsten picked up on it. Filter around the story. What's interesting is that I'm in a position where people will call me and they've had some success or they haven't had any success yet, but those who do have some success, they'll change what they're doing instead of doubling down. So I love that you had the wherewithal to say what worked, why, like, have some introspection on what just happened, right? Which is like, hey, what worked, why did this work, and can I repeat this success, right? And that
right,
was the point around filtering around the story, which obviously PropStream is a database. It is a subscription based database that you can actually log in, pay for data that gives you what is what the data points around of properties are, like who owns the property, how much do they owe, what are some other data points, typical stuff that we see like in tax records. So it is
Right.
publicly available data. So when you get people saying like, hey, where'd you get my information? I got it in a publicly available database. Like everybody is now a data point. That's the reality we live in. So
Right.
wonderful. So you're like, um, hey, here's how I recreate this. So why do you focus on VA and FHA loans? Let's clarify, like explain that a little bit.
Yeah. The reason why you want to focus on VA and FHA loan is
Mhm.
they're the only few loan types that allows you to go buy a house with very little money down, if any money down at all. So if
Mhm.
you're a veteran and 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 you get out of the military, you now have the option to go buy a house using a VA loan that's specifically for veterans. And the veterans will say, and the Veteran Affairs will say, hey, because you're serving the country, you will let you go buy a house with no money down. And in same with FHA loan. FHA loans are people that are usually first time home buyers. They encourage you, they incentivize you to go buy a house with as little as 3.5% down, so that it's so that you can get into a house without having to put up 20% down, which most people may not have. So like hypothetically, like if I were to go buy a house with the FHA loan right now and I put 3.5% down on a house, I'm gonna, and I only make, like, 6 mortgage payments. What my balance on that mortgage will probably be just as much as what I bought it for. So if I got a FHA loan for 350, trying to sell it after 6 months, 6 mortgage payments, I probably owe on that mortgage maybe 347, 348. So my
Mhm.
mortgage balance and what I my mortgage balance versus and the loan amounts that I got is very similar.
Mhm.
And then, so when you try to exit out of that, when you try to get out of the house, you might run into situations where you have to come out of pocket, because selling a house is not free. Like Ingrid, like, she's a realtor, she doesn't do the work for free,
Yeah.
and then so does the buyer's agent. How So does the escrow officer.
Right.
So does the appraiser.
That's right. We gotta feed our
Everybody in the selling
families.
process.
That's right. Mhm.
Everybody in the selling process needs to get paid, and that usually comes out of the proceeds. But if you just bought the house, your house is not worth. Your house can go up in value too quickly.
Right. Well, and honestly speaking, um, I don't think it's controversial. I actually think what happened between 20 and 2022 with such a high level of movement is not healthy for the market. And it's why we're seeing the correction we're seeing now. Like what goes up really quickly comes down really quickly as well.
Right.
So what our typical appreciation values year over year in a stable real estate market is around 3%.
Right.
So if a if it costs you around 7 to 10% to sell your house, right? Because you got to pay for commissions, for closing costs, for potential inspection fixes, home warranties, things like that. Then 10% is needed for that movement to happen. So
Right.
the little to no equity list, and maybe if we can go over like those primary filters, that's really where the niche is, where the where the pain is, where we're looking for those sellers who we know are motivated, but have no way out unless uh, Angel Kevin comes to rescue them. So you're
Right.
just white, or it looks kind of whitish, so I couldn't help myself. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I've seen a article probably sometime last year where the appreciation of the house was more than what the homeowner was making at their job.
Hmm.
Have you seen that article? It was like some houses here in Phoenix, they went up like 60, $70,000 in equity in their first 12 months. And
Hmm.
and some homeowners make that much money in a year.
Yeah.
So
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 it's
how
worth them to sell it sometimes because like how will they see that? Well, if they don't see it at real estate as a marathon game, but yeah, for sure.
Oh
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
So I think right now we're at such a good point in our in the marketplace where this kind of stuff is so, it's not needed, it's necessary. You have to know it.
Yeah, 100%. I was talking to Pace a while ago now, but like we're literally helping people avoid foreclosure because foreclosures have a spiraling effect. And something that we don't talk about often is the energy it brings too, like the negative energy it
Oh
brings.
yeah.
It brings it to your neighborhood, whether you like it or not. I was in a situation where I was in pre foreclosure. I ended up short selling my house back in 2010, but other people did not try to solve their problem at all. I at least tried to short sell. People abandoned their properties. And when you have
Oh
a
yeah.
neighborhood of abandoned, foreclosed properties, that invites a lot of riffraff, people to come. And can you tell I'm old? I use the word riffraff. Some shady stuff to happen. And so, people's houses were being broken in through their windows, not because the realtor didn't leave keys so that they could enter the property, because they're literally breaking in to live in there. And then things of that nature. So there's so much negative that comes with foreclosures. I really do think we're doing God's work, to be honest with you, to help
Oh
people
yeah.
in their time of need. And there's an emotional income that comes with that in order to know that, like, hey, I have a skill set that helps people out of some of their darkest times. Like, I don't know, there's something about that feels like you can do it
Right.
with conviction and with compassion and know that you're really truly helping people.
Right. And you went through it firsthand, and obviously you are smart enough to actually do something about it, because most of the people, they would freeze. They would be like, I don't even know what to do. I'm just gonna leave.
Mhm.
What were you trying to? Why can you? Were you in 2010? Were you in a spot where like you couldn't make the mortgage payment? Were you trying to sell the house? Like, why
Oh my
can you?
gosh. So what happened is I owned the property with a good friend of mine. And actually I tried buying it SubTo and I didn't know I was trying to buy it SubTo. I owned the property with her. I got pregnant with my son during the time that I lived with her. And so he was my boyfriend at the time, my baby daddy. Um, we were
Was
like,
it like the first date after the first date or something?
oh, you want to tell my crazy story? Okay.
No, no,
Um,
I don't know. I don't know. I vaguely remember the story. So like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, my husband's so hot that, like, a month later after re-meeting him, I got pregnant. So, luckily, we're still together. It's not the typical story, but,
Yeah.
I can't help it. Have you seen my husband? He's hot.
Oh wait, he's hot.
Um,
Yeah.
but would you know what that makes me?
Hot mom.
Okay, that's a good answer. I was gonna say the closer, but
Oh
anyway.
yeah. You weren't a closer back then, so it would make you a closer.
But no, so my my roommate at the time and my good friend, she wouldn't just give us the property because we lost a lot. Like, it doesn't compare to right now. Right now, the market's lost, depending on where you live, anywhere from 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
Our house we bought for 168,000. A week later, I still recall the office lady telling us, "Hey, you guys, your house is now selling for 180,000. Like, that's the best that we could do for any new buyers in this neighborhood." And we're like, "Oh, awesome! Look, we just got equity, right?"
A
Uh,
week later, so you bought it at 168, and a week later, you got an offer at 180.
no, we bought it at 168 because it was a new build. And a week later, the office lady was like, "Congratulations. We had to change our prices. And any new buyer who buys another house that has your same spec, the cheapest they could buy it is 180." So in what was like a week's worth, all of a sudden we gained like 12,000 in equity, which is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, really, at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
that was at the height of the market. That was in 2005. And so, we're like, all right, cool, that's great. But during the time that all of a sudden prices started tanking in '08, um, I tried doing SubTo. I didn't know it was SubTo, where I was telling my roommate and friend, hey, let me and my husband take over the mortgage, and we'll just take over the property and we'll make sure things get paid, and I'll show you that we're paying the mortgage. But we want our privacy. Like, we're about to have a baby. There's 3 bedrooms in this house. Like, we really wanted to be able to like raise our family. And I had no idea, but that was SubTo. But like, she wasn't having it. It's funny, right? Because we go through these like seller experiences where you're like, what reality are you in? Like, what is happening here? And so she was still stuck on the fact that the market would come back up and then we would sell it for a profit. And I told her that's not happening. That's not what's going to happen here. And my family dynamic has changed. So I have to either move out, or you have to agree to sell the house to us. And she wasn't agreeing to it, so I had to move out. Like, my husband went and bought another house, and then we talked about, like, what will we do with this house, and I paid my half of the mortgage for quite some time, despite having a new property that we now owned, like my husband bought. Actually, it worked out that we weren't married at the time, because he was able to qualify for a loan without me. And anyways, and then we just stopped paying, because it was a point where, like, hey, I can't keep paying for this mortgage. Either get a roommate, or, like, we need to resolve this. So we put the house up for sale, and the best we could do was short sell. So we bought it for 168, and we sold it for 75,000. That's how bad the market got. Yeah.
75 grand.
Mm-hmm.
That's a short sale offer, right?
Yeah. That was in Santan Valley. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we had to give our appliances away, from what I remember. I was like, so it was even less than 75 in my eyes. But yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But
So that was my story, and how, like, even somebody who I was very close to couldn't reconcile what was happening in the economy. And so when we're talking about these little to no equity sellers, there's still a part of that they need to kind of get over. And it's our jobs to kind of explain what the reality of that is. So
how would the stories have changed if you listed the house on the market and the realtor said, you know what, like, hey, I got this offer. Somebody called me about subject to, like, they can just take over the payment.
100% take it, for sure. Okay, so something we don't talk about enough, although I did talk about this in a previous podcast episode, I didn't just get impacted by my mortgage. I had credit cards too. And even though I had never missed a credit card payment, I had never missed a car payment. And, once you start the process of short selling and you actually have to stop paying your mortgage, like, I had to actually be told to stop paying it. All of a sudden, now all my credit cards want their money now.
Wow.
Yeah, and by the way, I shouldn't have bought a house that young, at 23, and having to deal with all the debt. I wasn't responsible enough. I lived way too far away, a lot of gas, just not good. And so I was living off my credit cards quite a bit to make things work. So I was like $20,000 in debt trying to make it work. So I had to figure that out. I got myself in like a debt consolidation thing, and every month I had to pay like $400 a month to like clear this debt, all because of the short sale I went through. So people who are in this experience are not just singular experience with the mortgage, and you and I may have seen this, but like, they're dealing with, how do I pay for groceries? How do I pay for gas? How do I pay for existing debts, like your car loans, your charge card loans, that sort of stuff. Like, that all gets impacted by when you start hitting your credit. So
Yeah, and it inhibits your ability to think clearly.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very, very stressful situation.
So right now I closed on a deal where I have a text thread of the listing agent. It ended up being going expired. It was in Buckeye, and I have a text thread of me and the listing agent, and I said, give me a call. Hey, is the homeowner open to sell too? I probably have like 13 just messages on my side, and then everything just nothing on the sell, nothing from the listing agent. And then it came back around to me just 2 weeks ago, and it's just so funny. Like the homeowner is so happy that we came to the table with some sort of solution, because they were 3 months behind. They're about to let the house go, and it's a beautiful house in Buckeye. You know how a lot of new builds in Buckeye.
Oh yeah.
I just it just makes me a little bit frustrated that people, the professional listing agents are not even doing their jobs of presenting an offer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't disagree with that. Did you ever put your offer on paper?
yeah.
Okay, so you had like a formal, because here's my beef with sometimes when people say, well, they won't even present my offer, but the offer was never even put on paper.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know, that was probably back in like December, November, December. So I might not have put an offer out.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I do. Now I'm experienced. Like
Good. Okay,
every
so
house has an
you're
offer.
folks. You're here, folks. I have my license. So I have the experience that goes beyond SubTo, where people say, I'm going to send you an offer. Here's what my offer kind of looks like. And then they give me some of the details. And then they never send the offer. So imagine I'm the agent and you're my client, you're my seller. And every other day I'm telling you, oh, yeah, I just got a call. They said they're going to send an offer. And then they never send an offer. That plays with the psychology of the seller, and I look like the bad guy because I'm
Yeah,
supposed to produce something for you and I'm not doing it. I'm the one setting you up. I'm saying, hey, this is coming, and it doesn't come. So if you are going to challenge an agent, it better be on paper, and then I will have your back all day as an investor. But if you're not putting it on paper and submitting it, it's just all talk. It's all talk, and I can't put my sellers and their heart and their emotions through that. And
yeah,
so for me, I have to have it on paper. So
yeah,
hopefully that gives some context, because I hear a lot of stuff out there, especially in our communities, where we talk about seller or agents not having the want to show these offers. Now, second to that, right, is like, okay, now you've sent me this really creative offer. I should be open to having that conversation, so I can, because I'm the one that gets sued. So if a seller needs a better explanation of what that offer is, and let's say you don't perform, they don't just come after you, they come after me, the agent. I
yeah,
get sued. So that's some other perspective too. So,
yeah. What do you think your audience needs?
well,
Obviously,
I was just going to ask you a question. So let's go back to that prop stream, right? So can
yeah,
we go through the main filters that you use when you're grabbing this list?
right.
What's that?
Um, Single family, obviously single family residential and vacant land.
And vacant land. Okay.
Vacant lands are new builds, but but it still shows up as but it's when you pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So,
a
so
little nuance.
anything built like 2020 and newer, it's
Hmm.
considered it shows as vacant land on Plot Street.
That makes sense. Okay.
So that's the house. You want to do you want to do individual ownership type individual.
Okay. So the owner type needs to be individual, because otherwise, what else might somebody see?
You're gonna run into a lot of flippers.
Mm. So if they're
'Cause,
flippers, what would you normally see in the owner type?
they're usually just first time home buyers.
Okay. So let me ask the question differently. So if I'm filtering on there, there's a section or there's a selection called individual.
Yes, on PropStream, yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, what else would they see if it wasn't individual? Like what?
LLC, trust, and then I think the fourth one is other. So
Why don't you select trust?
um, I don't know. I just never really explored it.
Oh, explore it, explore it. So I've actually bought houses from a trust. A
Oh,
trust is like I have a trust. So it's
yeah,
just how you hold the property.
right.
That's it.
But it's also for I guess it's easier skip tracing. I don't know, individual.
That is true. But a lot of people stupidly will name their trust their family names, or like the parent, like Ingryd and Mark Hernandez trust.
Oh yeah,
So you might still be able to skip trace some point.
oh yeah. I actually that's a good point because I'm very like.
No, I love how focused you are. Actually, I hope people are taking this away. See how focus. So one of the things I say is like narrow the focus, expand the reach. It's actually in a book called Good to Great, where if like you really narrow your focus, you will expand where you're reaching your approach. So great. Okay, so I
Yeah,
have single family home or vacant land if it was if it's 2020 or newer.
right.
Choose individual under the owner filter. So I'm in PropStream. So this is all specific to PropStream, but you can parallel this into like batch leads and other public data databases. So what else?
Um, ownership info. I used to do 1 year when I started it back in August, but now I'm doing 2 years.
So 2 years. That means they've held the house for 2 years or less.
2 years or less, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And then obviously on market MLS.
So on market. Okay, I think I had a couple people ask the question whether or not these were on market.
Yeah. So on market. I mean, I do a little bit of expire, but I just don't do a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then and then the most important thing is loan type FHA or VA.
Okay, loan type FHA or VA.
Right.
Okay, if you exhaust FHA and VA, because this is a very niche list, so the list is smaller. What would you then start looking at something more conventional?
Yeah. So I have two different lists: FHA VA list, and then I also have a conventional list. But the only difference, everything else is the same. Only difference is on conventional is I put 85% LTV.
Okay, that makes sense. Because you
Yeah.
can buy properties with a really low down payment on conventional as well, especially if you're a
Yeah.
well qualifying buyer. So, like, I bought the house I live in right now under conventional with 3.5% down payment, which
Yep.
is actually very typical of an FHA loan. So,
Right.
yeah, I would have, if, when I first bought this, I would have I would be in the low equity list too. So,
Yeah. Are you on the low equities list or no?
oh, no, no. I'm on the high equity list, so I get a lot of calls too. Well, like, hey,
Really?
yeah, would you like to sell your house? Or, hey, did you know you could pull a HELOC? And I'm like, I already have one. Thanks. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, so two different lists. FHA VA is one type of list. Conventional is another.
Because you have
Only
that.
difference is on conventional. I just add the filter, add the LTV because some people would like to do like 20% down, 50% down.
Mhm.
Um, so and
So just to reinforce a little, sorry, Kevin. I mean, this is the creme de la creme right here. If you haven't gotten a creative finance deal and you haven't pulled this very specific list Kevin is telling you to do, like I'm literally talking like a teacher right now, then you haven't actually tried. So this is how, and how many deals are you doing with this list?
I've done 13 so far this year. I'm closing on my 14th one today with Pace. So
Yes.
14, I have 9 in escrow.
Let's
just
go.
just from this list. And obviously, like I used to do just Arizona specifically, but
Mhm.
now I'm in like 4 different markets. I'm in Arizona, Vegas, multiple states in Texas. I mean multiple major markets in Texas and Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not hitting up
And the
Atlanta.
funny thing is there's a student named Riley Tucker.
Mhm.
He came on the Tuesday Zoom that I do in SubTo. He
Yeah.
said, I shared the entire nationwide no equity list.
Mhm.
His first phone call, he got a SubTo deal out of it, and we ended up doing a deal together.
First phone call.
First phone call.
Nice.
He said I didn't want to call starting at the top because I thought everyone's going to start at the top. So I started at the bottom, and it was the first house that he called and got a SubTo deal out of it. And the funny thing is, I've shared that list with 350 other students, and nobody has done anything other than Riley.
Wow. One call. That's all. That's like a commercial.
Yeah.
That's so funny because Dario, the list that I shared with him a little over a year ago now, when we got our first big wholesale, like we had that $250,000 wholesale fee.
Land.
It was a failed development. It
Okay.
was he literally did the same thing. He's like, I knew everybody was going to start at the top, so I went and I started at the bottom. So I think that's so hilarious, and I love it. So anyway. Okay, question from Sterling. Does PopStream share their equity, or do you have to assume based on type of loan and time since purchase? Okay, so we just went through that. They will have a loan to value equity. So yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't rely on that too much because
Mm-hmm.
it's basically property they saying, I think the house is worth this much.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want you want to go off the listed price and the mortgage balance. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing.
Yeah. So we have a question from Kirsten Martinez. What's the trick with taking over SubTo where it has down payment assistance? Maybe there is no trick. Well, I've had to do this before. What's been your experience?
For me, if there's ever down payment assistance, which is mostly, I think all the time it's going to be a FHA loan, right?
That's
But
been
I
my
only ran across down payment assistance on FHA loans, and you don't have to self perform. You get here in Arizona, you just buy the house on agreement for sale, so that you're not getting the ownership of the house until that down payment assistance falls off in 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, that's my take on it.
So there's more ways than one to cut this pickle. One is to do what Kevin just said and just do an agreement for sale. Now, I recommend that you actually read the documents related to the payment assistance, because in some down payment assistance documents, they get very specific. So
Yeah.
I had one where even an agreement for sale, according to the title company and their lawyer and the way that they interpreted it, would require a due on sale clause, or like would instigate a due on sale clause. So an agreement for sale was still interpreted as a sale according to that loan doc, that down payment assistance. So in that one, when we wholesaled that SubTo, we actually the down payment that we took from an end buyer, we put it towards paying off the down payment assistance. We felt the risk was too high, and it was better off us paying the down payment assistance and finishing it off as a deed transfer. So we did the
Right.
formal SubTo and took out the down payment assistance. So I would encourage everybody to read. I know people don't like to read nowadays, but read that down payment assistance. And if it's not you, assign somebody to do it. Like we actually had a TC read this for us, so we didn't have to. And then once we
Yeah.
had that information in, we're like, oh, there you go. That we need to deal with it. We can't just pretend it's not there. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, Matt said, interesting nugget on focus on FHA and VA. I will say there is, how many title companies are you working with here in Arizona who will do creative deals on FHA and VA?
I'm working with one, and I verified they work with
Mm-hmm.
down payment assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with another title company that said they could do it, but I never like really went through with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one that I verified and one that I haven't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I've worked with two different companies. When one was a conventional SubTo, so conventional loan, and so they didn't have any problem doing a normal SubTo, and so and they also didn't have any problem doing an agreement for sale. So I've used this one title company because they're so organized and so good that when I can, I use them, because it just takes so much stress out of your brain, because you have like a capable title company. There's another title company I've worked with that does FHAs, but you have to be on top of them versus the other way around. So if you guys want those names, DM me on Instagram. I'll send you those details. It's just, neither is perfect, but I really do have a propensity for wanting to do business with one over the other, because I don't have to deal with disorganization that kind of comes from the other one. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, most people are just gonna ask you just because. But if you're actually working on a deal, like reach out to Ingrid. But if you're just kind of curious, you know, get a deal first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Question. Calling on Gator leads, I've been told by multiple title companies they won't SubTo FHA loans due to sanctioning they've seen in the past. You said FHA and VA main focus still. Okay, we kind of answered that question. If you cannot go through a title company because of their lawyers not allowing for that type of loan to be processed, you can do something called self-performance. Pace's TC will do self-performance. I don't believe that they will help people outside of SubTo though. There is another company called creativetc.io who will do a self-performance, but it's really case by case and based on their workload. It is more expensive to do a self-performance with a TC because you're paying them to do it versus a title company. And then it doesn't come with title insurance. So there is a pros and cons that you have to weigh on when you're doing those. You can pay to do a title search, which I highly, highly, highly recommend to do a title search. I can't stress. I will tell this story once my numbers are all in, but I believe I'm going to lose around $40-something thousand on a deal I'm closing on this week because we didn't do a title search before we put up a property under contract. It will bite you in the ass eventually. I'm just being honest with you. So
You're finally getting rid of that headache, huh?
my God, yes. We'll have to talk about it, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dana said I had a new build go up 120,000 in base price from signing contract to actually being built. 100%, especially if you did it in 2021 even. Like it's happened even most recently. Yeah, Jim remembers the days because we were talking about reminiscing the years of, back in the day, where people were literally sleeping outside of these communities, waiting to be in the lottery to get picked for a new build. It was crazy times.
What?
Yeah.
Why would they sleep outside the new build? Is it like you get in line?
So if you really wanted to live in a certain, there wasn't enough properties in the metro area. So if you did get a property or a subdivision near the metro area, like they were so difficult to get that people would sleep at night waiting to be put in a lottery or waiting to get picked to be able to purchase a home. Now, there was so much demand, though, on buying properties because they were giving out loans like Halloween candy. Like everybody got one. Didn't matter if your Halloween costume looked good or not. You're going to get candy. You were going to get a loan. So because of that, people are getting 2, 3, 4 loans and then going to buy houses, even though they technically didn't qualify for those things. And that was what really destabilized the market, or one reason. So we had so much demand to get these properties. And then we learned afterwards, right? These houses sat empty because those loans were just terrible. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was when? Just years ago?
That was in 2005 when the frenzy was like 04, 05. My house was finished built in the early 06. And then we started seeing the market just turning really bad in 07, from 06 to 07. And in 08, it just came tumbling down. So,
Wow.
Sterling, I think we may have answered. I'm behind on the comments, but yeah, those properties that Kevin is working on are primarily on the market, but he does do some that are expired, which are also really great candidates for SubTo.
I want to clarify. The only really expired things that I do are the ones that's on the on market list that ends up being expired, and that's kind of the ones I go after. I don't specifically go after expires as much, just because there's so many opportunities in that on market list already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So like if my property is one that I'm focusing on, it's currently on market, and then next month it comes off market, then that's like your Cobra stance on those,
Yeah,
because that's the ones that you're gonna get. Got it. That
yeah.
makes
I mean, the
sense.
one that we're closing today on Anderson, Josh was working on it. My one of my partner. I already went off market. He called up the listing agent. I mean, he called the seller directly.
Yeah.
So it's like we're just waiting to go in to make sure he goes off market.
John asks, when doing a SubTo on a FHA or VA, is there anything special that we need to keep in mind when doing the paperwork? No, most of the paperwork is the same. It's just whether or not the title company will give you title insurance and to what degree, because you're talking about specific issues within the loans that those title companies have to abide by.
Yep.
So, specifically like VAs, like VA loans, most will not insure. So, you can close the VAs under an agreement for sale. If it's FHA, we know of at least one title company who will do FHA loans or FHA.
VA loans too.
Oh, VA, yeah, VA straight sub D transfer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What I'm closing today is a VA loan.
Interesting. I had a self perform on my VA loan, so maybe you're dealing with a different title company
No,
than
it's
I.
the one that you recommended.
Really?
Yeah.
They're doing VAs now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes. Yeah. Are you? I know who you're talking about.
We're
The
talking
funny
with
the
our
funny
eyes.
thing is,
Mm-hmm.
she closed a SubTo VA loan for me back the very first house in Yuma SubTo deal that I did. It was a VA loan, and I had no problem.
Mm.
But then Molly comes to me saying, "Hey, I tried doing a VA loan with this person, but they wouldn't just do it." So
Yeah,
Molly and you and Molly were like, "What the heck? Like, why wouldn't they do it for us, but they did it for you?"
I think there's some inconsistencies here, but oh well.
Yeah.
Write it while you can. Are offers done on a specific document, or can it be on any type of documents? I'll let you answer this, Kevin.
The offer, it has to be a purchase agreement, or I mean, I don't know about the
I,
realtor
I
world, but like,
Yeah, I think what they're asking, maybe, and John, clarify for me if I'm saying this wrong, but maybe asking whether or not you use an AAR here in Arizona or your state specific contract, maybe if you're in Texas or Florida or wherever, or can you use something different?
yeah,
If it's not on MLS anymore, you can use whatever you want. I will say that when you use a state specific contract, title companies love it though, because they don't have to reconcile what does your contract say versus what's allowed in that state. You make their job easier. So it's my recommendation where you can is use the state specific and then understand what additional amendments you might have to add beyond the state specific contract. So
yeah.
that's my unprofessional opinion. So yeah.
Sorry, I got like 5 missed calls, and I hear it in the room, and I was like, like 5 missed calls in like 50 minutes. What the heck is going on? Is something happened in my family? Like, nothing happened. It was just people.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, so let's see here. Where have you gotten great data on skip tracing services? There's so many out there.
Jew, so I don't use a skip tracing platform. I use a background platform because that is the most accurate data you will ever find. Um,
I think I know what you're talking about.
you have to be a realtor.
Yeah.
So Jew, hey Jew, text me privately. You have my number. I'll give you the app.
Ooh, you got to know the juice here.
The
Bring
juice.
Kevin a deal, and then he will tell you what service he used for that. And I totally forgot about that. I am
That
an,
thing is
I am an agent.
so this is a challenge. It's like if you own the house for only 3 4 months, you will never be able to find that number.
Mm-hmm.
Because skip the data companies, they buy old data and they sell the same data over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a background search where they give you all the information. So like your speeding ticket that you got, or if you kill somebody, it'll be on that record. So it's really, really accurate. And I've only had one instances where I wasn't able to find somebody's number.
By the way, they said Kevin was still in diapers when we were talking about those stories.
Oh yeah,
That
probably.
is true. Yeah. Well, no, I think you're a toddler. You're probably like what, 5?
5. I was born in 2000, so.
Oh my God. I was graduating high school in 2000.
Oh, by the way, your son getting a job, that was cute.
Yeah,
Like at Cane's.
right. Yeah, well, he started at Raising Cane's. I'm so proud of him. Now, I wish he would start his own business. I even told him, honey, why don't you stream? Let's figure out how we stream and like do what you love instead of going work for it. But, my husband was like, if he goes and works for somebody else and he hates it, that's actually a really good thing too. Like he needs to experience hating it.
Do you
But
low key?
he really likes it.
Oh, dang it. Don't you wish he had a terrible manager and he goes, I'm never working for somebody ever again?
I hope so. I hope that. And I'm like, he's got a clean toilet. So I'm like, you don't even do that here. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, Dana, how do you determine your wholesale fee for SubTo? I know you wholesale most of yours. Ooh, Kevin, that's a good one.
Oh, that's a little. It's hard to explain in a box just because there's so many factors that go into the deal. Mm-hmm. But if I were to say, I'll say, I think just 10 to 15 grand assignment fee just overall is good. Like you're not gonna get a 70 grand assignment fee on a SubTo deal. It's very rare. You can get 70 grand assignment fee on a cash deal because if you lock up a cash deal for 210 and you sell it for 280, like you got a spread right there. But there's a limit to how much the buyer is willing to bring to the table for closing, and they don't want to bring too much cash to the table because they don't. At that point, their cash on cash return goes down significantly. So I'll definitely say like the most the deal that I'm selling to Pace, that entry fee is $45,000, but I got a $10,000 assignment fee because the seller got 25, realtor got 5, the listing agent got 5 grand. Yeah. So I know this doesn't satisfy your answer, but I think a safe assignment fee for a SubTo deal is around 10 to 15 grand.
I think that's a fair shakeout. I would say, especially when you're a student of this now as a buy and holder, it makes you really scrutinize that entry fee. And I think it plays both for and against you. So if you do the REI calculator that I give away for free on my link tree, you can find my link tree in my bio on Instagram, and you can actually do your calculations there, which includes your wholesale fee. So understand, if you're trying to sell it to SubTo students, we're all trying to get 20% cash on cash return or higher. So if your numbers are not lining up with that, then know that we're probably going to be hard asses about that entry fee. That's just the way we are. Yeah. So anyway, but then the more remodeling you have to do, unless it's like a legit, what I'll call a SubTo subtail, where you're just using the SubTo as a holding cost, but there's a lot of opportunity on the exit. Those will bring you bigger assignment fees. However, if it's a buy and hold exit strategy and there's a lot of work to be done, your fee's probably gonna be lower.
Oh yeah, but then I want to emphasize there's few of the factors that I'm thinking on top of my head that can affect your assignment fee. Location, like what is it? Arizona? Is it Coolidge? Is it what middle of nowhere in the desert? Mm-hmm. Interest rate, condition of the house, what kind of buyer, what's the PIT, how old is the loan? If it's 10 years down the road, you pay the majority of the interest rate. Condition of the house, of course, is there solar on it, and how much is the solar? Is there down payment assistance? Like so many factors that go into the loan.
Yeah. But I think 10 to 15,000 a good starting point, or it's going to be less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to calculate your assignment fee and thinking about how much you should give to the seller, as low as possible.
Yeah, for sure. How much cash flow do you try to stay at when doing a SubTo? Is there a percentage? Everybody's different. I talk about bigger pockets investors versus SubTo investors. And I'll say it, I think SubTo investors are more sophisticated. I think bigger pockets investors, they tend to be like more passive investors, like more marathon investors, where it's like, hey, if it's 12% cash on cash, give it to me, even 8%. So they'll take that lower cash on cash. So they'll take a lower cash flow against versus what their entry fee is. For me, my cash flow has to be anywhere from $300 to $500 a month minimum for properties priced less than 500,000 purchase price.
Yeah. One thing that I will say is if you're going after no equity deals, you will have hard times cash flowing on those deals, because like all my SubTo deals that I've sold, none of them cash flowed. Like not a single one of them cash flowed. When there's only one house that cash flowed. You will not find cash flow in SubTo deals, especially like doing no equity list, in my personal opinion. Why would title? Oh, because they did a VA loan. Yeah,
Right.
Molly was like, oh, maybe they're into young Asian guys.
Maybe. Hey. They're
Yeah,
like, take me to Korean barbecue spot.
yeah,
Sizzle.
yeah. Oh, the sizzle, that place is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really expensive too.
Can you speak to that initial phone call with the seller? So seller like is already pissed. They weren't able to sell their house on MLS. What does that first phone call sound like?
Oh, expired.
I'm assuming that's who they're speaking to about.
My initial phone conversation goes like this: Hey, hey Jonathan, I saw that you were trying to sell this house. Are you still in the market to sell? Something like that. I don't know. I'm getting like insecure about this now.
You're and we're watching you, Kevin. We're watching.
No,
No.
you're exposing me.
Well, the reality is if it was on market and now it's not, they probably had some motivation to be on market in the first place. So that's a great opener to say, hey, I saw your agent really didn't do their job, didn't get to sell their house, right? Now you have a common enemy. When you're talking to a seller, it's always good to have a common enemy. So a common enemy would be their agent, mortgage company. Yeah. So the market can be an enemy. You know, other investors, people always tell me like, oh, these investors, they're low balls. And here I'm an investor on the phone. I'm like, yeah, they're so dumb.
I'm thinking, what do you think about this line? Hey, I know that your house just went expired, went off market. I was just wondering what you didn't like about my offer.
Ooh.
Oh, what offer are you talking about?
I like that one, Kevin. Because now again, the common enemy is the agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't have to go after the agent right off the bat. Because
No.
sometimes they're like family members or like close friends, church members.
Sure.
Yeah. I was wondering what
Wow.
you didn't like about our offer.
That's fantastic. Now, it could backfire because you could now involve the agent once again.
It could, yeah.
Yeah, because I could be like, oh, well, that was my best friend who put my house on the market. Let me call her right quick. Hey, what are they talking about? Oh my God, now you could be breaking up like friendships and shit.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. I had a deal in here in Arizona. We went direct to seller after it went expired, and the realtor goes, and that's kind of the line that we said. So, hey, what did you not like about our offer? And he goes, what offer are you talking about? Remember the offer we just come in and take over the mortgage payment? We give you like $25,000 in your pocket. Oh, you put an offer like that? And he goes, yes. We reached out to your listing agent, and your listing agent said you're completely opposed to it. You know, and then the seller got super pissed off at the listing agent because he was one of those 72 sold, just like no relationships. So he was like, dude, like, let me just do the deal with you. I like it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. All right. Shabzi says, yo, Kevin, how do I buy a deal from you? I think I'm on your email list, but I haven't seen anything come through yet. Why? Because Pace them all up.
No, Pace only gets the Arizona ones. But I just really don't get a lot of feedbacks from the buyers. Like all my deals don't cash flow, so I'm looking for a specific type of buyers that are looking for deals that don't cash flow. So like if you're specifically looking for some wrap deals, so some SubTo deals for you to do wraps, I have a type form. Can I like promote myself here and give you my type form?
Absolutely. What do you need?
I have a type form where I build out my buyers list.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of the people who say they need to have cash flow in order for them to buy the deal. So let me see comments.
If you go to the private chat, you can type what, yeah, there we go. So copy, and then you need me to showcase this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Or put it in the comments too. That'd be great.
Okay.
I can see the comments.
Oh, how pretty. This is your type form?
Yeah, I pay money for this.
Do you?
Yeah, because I didn't want to do Google Drive. I just didn't think that was professional.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Okay, let's see here. How do I present? It's been a minute. I usually have Caroline driving, so okay.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay, keep speaking, keep talking.
Yeah. So we've been just selling deal. We're really looking for investors that's looking to pick up non-cash flowing SubTos, because it's been really hard for us to find cash flowing SubTo deals after like expenses, after management. Like you're right off the bat negative.
Yeah.
So if you look at this type form, it's just going to ask you, hey, like, first, last name, information, email, so we have information to get a hold of you. I think the next slide. Can you go to the next slide? Oh yeah, what time zone you're in, so that we know like when is the best time to reach out to you, and then after that,
I can't go beyond that. Let's fill one in. Jane Doe. 999-999-9999.
perfect.
Yo Mama Bear.
Somebody put Ben Dover as
Oh, that number doesn't look right. Okay, let's see. Maybe that looks right. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. 908 Okay.
Perfect.
Damn it.
Put 949. Put 949 as area code.
949.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I didn't have
there you
to put the number. Okay. What time zone are you in?
Pacific.
Okay.
Yes.
AM?
Yes.
Okay. What cities are you actively buying in?
Yeah.
Arizona metros.
Perfect.
I really want metro, but it's okay. Would you buy a creative deal that's not cash flowing? No. What if I say no? Does it? Okay. Are you buying houses on agreement for sale? Yes. Yes, I am. Do you have any experience with midterm rental? I do, actually. And then you hit submit. That's it.
And then you hit submit. So, and we like, I have a partner that sells deals for me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is anytime we come across a deal and it's in a market that you say you're buying it, like that's what we specifically give you a call. So if you put anywhere that makes sense as your market, you're probably not going to get any email.
Yeah.
And I've been just selling a lot of SubTo deals for other students. We sold 3 deals for other students last week, and everything was through phone call. Like because we don't want to be blasting things out just because that's just not how I want to operate. So I've been just if we get a deal in Minnesota, we go to the type form, filter by Minnesota, and then the buyers that said they want to buy in Minnesota, then we reach out to them personally.
So Kevin, I have an Arizona one that doesn't cash flow.
Let's sell it.
Do you want to dispo it with me?
Yeah, 12 of my 13 deals doesn't cash flow long-term rental.
Let's do it. It could cash flow midterm, but it only will cash flow midterm for like half the year. The other half will either break even or you may be even behind.
Yeah, love it.
Why do people buy deals that aren't cash flowing?
Because not everybody's exit strategy is long-term rental. Because I sold a deal in Vegas, and he manages over 80 midterm rentals in Vegas. Mm-hmm. His company does. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't cash flowing as a long-term rental, but he knows that it's a good area. It was in Henderson. He was like, dude, I want that house. It has a pool. It's a 2-story, like 2,300 square feet. And he just told me last week that house is rented out for 4,100.
Send me their info. I need midterm contacts.
Oh, me too.
Okay,
that's why I asked. If you're a midterm, yeah, because
operator.
Yeah, if you're a midterm rental operator, yeah. So
nice. And another reason why people will buy things that don't cash flow, other than midterm or maybe even short term, where they know it will, sometimes even to break even, When you're somebody who has high income, you need those things to offset your tax liability. So
Like you.
so you need that depreciation in order to mitigate your taxes. So Kevin, we are at the top of the hour. You actually stayed with me a few minutes later. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with me. You're amazing. Tell me, how do people get a hold of you, Kevin?
Instagram is the best way to get hold of me. I respond to every single messages. So can I put my Instagram?
Yeah, sure. Put it on the comments.
I would love to self-promote.
Absolutely, 100%.
I can't put the comments. There's no section for me to type in
super
comments.
Weird. It's at Kevin Choe 12, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. Mama Bear knows.
Yeah, there you go.
That's Kevin's Instagram. Huh?
Can you put it up on the screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at that. My son's telling me what to do.
I'm popular.
John Hoffman said you had mentioned 20% cash on cash. So if the entry fee came out to 30K and you would want 6K back annually, I think that's the way the math shakes out. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Wonderful. This has been really great. And okay, so let's recap.
Yes.
If you want a deal in the next week or two, you have to commit to hitting this very niche list. So what I learned, go to PropStream or find somebody who has PropStream in your community. I'm sure they're willing to help because this does not pull a lot of data. In fact, you can pull it from me. I have batch leads. We'll pull data from there if you want. Tell me what county you're a part of, and we will get you this data. Because every month we get 10,000 records. I would argue 10,000 is probably the most available in the whole United States for this niche list.
I use maybe 500 a month.
Yeah. So you got single family homes or vacant land that is 2020 or newer. You have under owner, choose individual. So you want to stay away from LLCs. You may want to try trust, but just stick to individual for right now. Make sure your ownership info is for 2 years or less. So that means they've only owned it for 2 years or less. Make sure these properties are on market. And then the loan type is FHA and VA. Now you can use this exact same filter and make a new list and have conventional be your VA, or excuse me, conventional be your loan type. But then you would also have to add an extra filter of 85% loan to value. How'd I do, Kevin? Good.
You did. That's
listening and taking notes. That's right.
You did phenomenal. That's legitimately what I do.
Yeah.
Nothing changed, and that filter hasn't changed for over almost 7 months.
That's right. Now, how many have you done? How many deals?
This year, closing my 14th one today with Pace was signing it today.
That's right. Yeah. So I don't want to hear any more crying or bitching about not getting your deal. Sorry. Mama Bear's talking right now. I'm tired of people coming to my DMs and saying, how do I get my first deal? I would ask, how many hours have you spent on the phone? And this will literally get you on the phone with people who are most qualified to have this conversation. So I would actually say if Kevin isn't willing to share where he's getting the skip trace, honestly, go to any of them. And just if it's 5, 6, 7 numbers to that person, just call them. All right. So follow Kevin on Instagram, Kevin Choe 12. He would love for you guys to answer his type form, which he spends money on, so that you can actually get any of his dispos, if so. And then, yeah, Kevin, I'm so thankful for you for being here. Please make sure that this free 99 valuable podcast is shared with your friends and family or anybody who actually has some entrepreneurial spirit. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button and the bell and all the little things so that you can come and join us for when we go live. So Kevin, thanks again. Any last words?
Last words.
Oh, Kevin, don't you do a meetup?
Oh, yes. Oh, meetup. If you're here in Arizona, I do a meetup every Saturday at 6 p.m. in WeWork location in Tempe. So right off the 202 and Scottsdale Road and Rural Road. Right off, you'll see this big building that says open door. That's not, we don't go to open door, we go to 10th floor. So 6 p.m. Doesn't matter if you're a SubTo student or not, everyone's invited. Bring your kids too.
And I can attest to the most beautiful view.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
if anything, just come for the views that that office produces. Beautiful, beautiful, because you're
And
talking
that view is not me.
that time. I don't know. Your skin is pretty beautiful, Kevin.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, all right. He had to do the hair flare too. Right on. Well, thanks everybody. Come to our podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Arizona time. Hopefully next week we'll have Caroline. I know she was under the weather. Go to her Instagram and give her well wishes. And then we'll catch you on the next one. Kevin, you can stay on and I'll end the broadcast.
All right.
Bye.